Story 1, The Substitute. I was a paraprofessional at an elementary school. My job was simple: assist the third-grade teacher, help kids with their work, make sure nobody choked on a crayon. Normal stuff. The kind of job where the most stressful part of your day is whether the laminator is working. It was a Tuesday in November when the lockdown drill was called. We'd had maybe 4 or 5 of them that year. The kids knew the routine better than most adults. Mrs. Harmon, our regular teacher, was out sick that day, so we had a substitute, a guy named Mr. Reeves. Late 40s, soft-spoken, seemed fine when I met him that morning. When I saw him at the front of the classroom, something about him felt off. Not in a way I could explain. Just quiet. Too controlled. By mid-morning, he was still there in the back of the room, not really teaching, just watching everything. Like he was tracking the room instead of the lesson. Then the intercom light came on. That small red glow you only notice when everything else is already too quiet. The lockdown announcement came through, and everything shifted instantly. Lights off. Movement to the walls. Routine panic disguised as calm. From the floor, the room looked different. Smaller. Heavier. And he was still standing near the door, like he was waiting for something. Then I saw his hand on the door handle. Not locked. Not secured. Just resting there. He wasn't looking outside the glass. He was looking at the glass itself, like he expected something to appear in it. I kept watching him while trying to keep the kids calm. But my attention kept drifting back to the door. I called his name. He finally turned, slowly, but only his head moved. "I know," he said. That was all. I walked toward him, careful not to alarm the kids. The room felt tighter the closer I got to the door. When I locked it, he didn't stop me. He just stepped back into the corner like he had already expected that outcome. After that, I couldn't focus. My mind kept running through possibilities, but none of them made sense. When the all-clear finally came, the hallway outside felt wrong. Too empty. Like no one had been there at all. In the office, I tried to explain what happened. But even as I spoke, I knew it sounded worse out loud. Then they showed me the file. The real Mr. Reeves had never been there. He had cancelled that morning. Someone had signed in anyway. And walked straight into the school like they belonged there. By the time anyone checked, he was gone. No exit record. No trace. The signature in the log looked too calm. Too intentional. Like it wasn't written in a hurry at all. Later that day, the classroom was empty again. But it didn't feel empty the way it should. I stayed behind after hours. I kept looking at the corner where he stood. Trying to understand what I missed. The door glass still bothered me the most. That small barrier between inside and outside. Security footage didn't help. If anything, it made it worse. The absence of movement felt deliberate. Even the parking lot didn't make sense anymore. The car was gone, but it had been there. That night, I couldn't sleep. Everything felt like it was still happening somewhere else. I kept seeing the door again. Just slightly open. Not fully closed. Not fully locked. I don't substitute anymore. I don't work in schools anymore. What I think about, still, is that door, and how quietly he stood there, like he was listening for something specific on the other side. Story 2, Room 114. I was a school resource officer at a mid-sized high school. 3 years on the job. Long enough to understand patterns, but not enough to stop being surprised by them. The lockdown came at 11:48 a.m. Precautionary, the announcement said over the intercom. I was already moving before the message finished. Hallways shifting into silence. Doors closing one after another. My role during lockdowns is always the same: secure, observe, respond. But that day felt heavier than usual. Every classroom I passed was locked. Blinds down. Motionless rooms behind glass. Dispatch came in, room 114. A teacher reported knocking at an exterior door. Ms. Bello met me at the interior door. Calm voice. Pale face. Controlled fear. She said she saw a man outside. Standing still. Not trying to enter. Just watching. I checked the courtyard immediately. Nothing. Completely empty. The knocking had stopped 2 minutes before I arrived. 3 slow knocks. Deliberate. What stayed with me wasn't the event. It was her certainty that he had been there. Radio update came through: police activity nearby triggered the lockdown. Then Ms. Bello mentioned something else. A parent call earlier that morning. A student hadn't come home. Worry escalated. The office told him to contact police. I asked which student. She told me immediately. I turned to the class. 22 students against the wall. But something didn't match. I counted again. Slowly. 23. 1 extra. In the back corner, a boy I didn't recognize. Hood up. Still. Too still. He didn't respond like a scared student or an intruder. Just, present. Quiet. Later I was told he was 17. Wrong room. Wrong timing. Lost in the chaos. But he wasn't the missing student. That seat was still unaccounted for. And the man outside the door? Still unidentified. We confirmed attendance again. The numbers didn't resolve. What the report said didn't match what I saw. The courtyard remained empty. But I couldn't remove the image of him standing there. 12 minutes. 3 knocks. Waiting. For someone, or something. That never arrived. Case closed, unconfirmed presence. Administrative language for unresolved reality. But I still think about room 114. And the fact that when I counted that room, the number was never stable. Story 3, the second announcement. I was a high school junior when this happened, 17 years old. And I still can't fully explain it. It was a Thursday afternoon, about 45 minutes before dismissal. A completely normal school day. Then the first lockdown announcement came over the intercom. Calm. Automatic. The principal's usual voice. Mr. Oren didn't hesitate. He locked the door and turned off the lights. We moved against the wall, away from the windows. Phones out. Texting parents. Waiting. Everything felt routine. Except Mr. Oren. He stayed close to the door. 8 minutes passed in silence. Then the intercom activated again. Same voice. Same principal. But the message wasn't the same. This is not a drill. The room changed instantly. Then came a second line. Do not open doors for anyone without visual confirmation. Mr. Oren looked at the intercom panel, confused. Then slowly walked to the door and checked the lock again. A few students started crying quietly. Others froze mid-text. But nobody fully reacted. It felt unreal, like we were waiting for confirmation from the system itself. 20 minutes passed. No movement. No sound. Just silence. Then the all-clear announcement came. Same voice. Same tone. Like nothing happened. The school instantly returned to normal. Phones started ringing again. Messages resumed. The outside world had already moved on. But something didn't match. Parents had only received 1 notification. Not 2. The next day, I asked Mr. Oren about it. He said he had already checked with administration. Their answer was simple. There was only one announcement. The intercom system logs confirmed it. One broadcast. One all clear. No second message. But 23 of us heard it. Word for word. I tried to explain it later. Glitch. Delay. Echo. Anything logical. But none of them explained the exact wording. Or why it sounded exactly like the principal. And still, no one knows who spoke through that intercom.